to another episode of Hear This Now. As you can see, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Edward Lyfook. So, Mr. Lyfook, tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What church do you go to? And what is your role at the church?
Well, thank you to all the panelists for inviting me to this most prestigious show. My name, as you all know, my name is Edward Lyfook. Um, I attend the Times of Refreshing Ministries located in Santa Rosa Heights in Arima, and I am presently the senior elder there. A little bit about me. I have three daughters, all grown up. And in fact, they are part of the panel here.
He like to make bread and thing.
Don't give out my secret, please. I am an avant. I love baking and cooking. As one of my daughters rudely interrupted and told you everybody that I love to bake and cook. The kitchen is where I go to relax.
Baking is an understatement. Tell people he does make bread with anything he could get your hand on.
Facts.
That's what it is.
But not only bread, I also do different types of gourmet cakes. Right. So, but as I said, the kitchen is where I go to relax. It's where I can think. So yeah, that is where I am, and that is who I am in a nutshell. There's more, but that's for another time.
All right. Well, I hope you're in the kitchen because tonight we're talking about forgiveness, and I want you to think about the answers you're about to give. You ready?
Oh Lordy! Well, if I'm in the kitchen, well, then it's heat.
Okay. So, as I said, we're talking about forgiveness, and I want us to just jump right into it. Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
All right. So, Jade, seeing as you're the first to unmute. Yes, you. All right. I'll ask you a question. What is forgiveness?
All right. So, in my opinion, before we could even talk about forgiveness, we have to talk about grace, right? And for those of you who don't know, grace in Christian terms is unwavering or undeserved, God's undeserved favor and love for us, right? So I just want to read Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 to 9, verse 8 to 9. For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. So it is a gift from God, right? Which means that we cannot earn it. He is just giving it to us. As I said before, it's undeserved, right? And once we understand that God is giving grace to us, then, and we know that we have to emulate God, right? Then we would be able to give that grace to other people, and we would be able to give that grace to ourselves, because we all know, yes, we could forgive other people, etc., but forgiveness of yourself is equally as important, right? And so for me, forgiveness means cutting all ties or letting go of past hurts, past disappointments, whatever you may regret. It is letting go of that and living in a newness, living in a sense of peace for what living in a sense of peace, and I don't want to say forgetting, but just cutting and letting go of any past hurts and any past struggles and moving on with your life, basically.
Okay. But actually, I like that question. So I want to ask everyone, what does forgiveness mean to you specifically?
Well, for me, forgiveness means it's like what Jay was saying is a letting go, but it's not just letting go, it's a conscious decision that you must make to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't just come as in, all right, well, I forgive. You have to decide that you are going to forgive someone. Let go of whatever, whether you think they deserve forgiveness or not,
Mm-hmm.
you decide to forgive.
Um, before we even go down that road, what we have to understand also is that while we were yet sinners, while we were yet the enemies of Christ, He forgave us, right? So if He could forgive us and He is the supreme being, then it is only right that we forgive others. Um, and I'm going to piggyback a bit on what Shan said. It's a conscious, deliberate decision. So it must be a deliberate decision to release all all the anger and the hatred and the resentment and the thought of vengeance towards someone who have done you some kind of wrong, regardless whether you think they deserve it or not. It is also forgiveness is also the it's also for you, the person, right? Because it does not make sense that you holding on to um that anger and hurt and pain and resentment and, oh, I don't like the person, I can't stand them, and they most of the time they are not even thinking about you. They have already done what they did and they left and forgo and go on their way, and you still holding on to that. So it's really for you know. So that is what forgiveness is for me. It's a letting go of past hurts and anger and that sort of thing.
And I would just like to add to that, because I agree with all of you. Forgiveness is also not allowing, because when you let go of all of those hurt and your pain and whatnot, you're not allowing it to dictate your life. When you hold on to it, whatever relationship you enter into next, whether it is a romantic relationship, a friendship, whatnot, you are bringing that with you, and sometimes you're also using it as a way to judge others. So you're holding on to the pain, the hurt that somebody else did to you, and then the person that you're currently seeing face to face, they now suffer the consequences, which isn't even fair. So forgiveness is also not allowing that nonsense to dictate your actions in your present day life. Anybody else have any thoughts on forgiveness and what it means?
Well, this is just my take on forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'll start by saying, I'm not going to sit down here and pretend that I easily forgive people. I will not sit down here and I will not preach something that I haven't yet mastered. It's just not in me. I don't have the grace like Mr. Edward have, and I've, I have to work to get over certain things because, truth be told, I am very revenge driven and I'm trying to deal with it at this moment in my life right now. Right? With God help and the Holy Spirit help, I'm not going
Yeah.
to sit down and preach anything that I fully understand what it means yet. Right? But my brief explanation of forgiveness is just that you're forgiving somebody's past transgression for how they may wrong you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's right by adding this. You're not necessarily forgetting what they do. You just choose to let it go, right? Because this is my definition, people. So I
I
just say that
understand.
I
I
try
get you. I get
nowadays,
you.
and yeah, that is just basically what it is to me.
I
All
would
right.
say, oh, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say the same thing that everybody said with regards to letting go of what someone did to you wrong and whatever, whatever. And I also agree with Aaron. I find it very hard to forgive. It has taken a real long time to forgive. So I have to work on that.
Trust
Well,
me,
well,
we're not alone in this one. Eh?
well, the thing is, you don't forgiveness, as Isha and Aaron says, takes time. You cannot expect the average human being, the normal human being, unless you are some Superman or something, to experience a bit of trauma today, tonight, and in the next hour or tomorrow morning, forgive and forget that person.
Yeah.
That is impossible, right? So, um, the act of forgiving takes time. God is the only person who will forgive you,
One time.
right? But the average human being does not and cannot forgive someone that easily. No, forgiving someone does not necessarily mean that you are going. Let me just rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a relationship with someone, or or you are just someone's friend, and that person did something to hurt you deeply, you can forgive that person, but it does not necessarily mean that you are going to get back into a relationship with them. It just means that you have let go and you have forgiven them for whatever pain and hurt and that they have done to you.
Yeah.
It does not mean that you are going to be their friend. It does not mean that you have to be their friend. It does not even mean that you need to speak to them anymore, but you have forgiven them for whatever they have done. So
Yeah.
that is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not necessarily mean I forgive you and let's go hug up and talk again.
Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting too because in doing some research, right? Oh, can I just say one thing before you? Okay, all right. In doing some research, a lot of websites I found, said that reconciliation was a part of forgiveness. But what you're saying is that it could be a bonus, not it's good to have if it happens, but if it doesn't, that's all right too.
Yeah, because you see the you can forgive the person, but you don't as I said, you don't necessarily have to go back into a relationship with them,
I got you. I got you.
right? You can
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I forgive you," and you have to really truly forgive the person. Not it must not be um just uh uh uh, uh what they're looking for. Um, just
Just
coming
coming
out
out
of
of
your
your mouth.
mouth. Yeah, it mustn't just be something I'm saying because I want you to feel. I want the person to feel at ease.
It has to be
It must
true.
be. It have to be true. A true forgiveness. There must be true forgiveness in order to be to get over that whatever um
Yeah.
um
Hurt
hurt and
and
pain.
pain and
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Well,
please.
this is my thing, right? I agree with Elder Fook in the sense of forgiveness requires work, right? And according to this devotional that I read on the YouVersion Bible app, I don't know, I should be an ambassador for YouVersion and a
And
YouVersion. What going on? I just recommend you to real people, dog. So, according to this devotional, on the YouVersion Bible app by Penny Maxwell called Forgiveness, Grace, and Freedom. She says that the work of forgiveness is basically um, that forgiveness needs to be maintained, right?
mm, mm,
So every morning you wake up and you say, "Today I choose forgiveness. Today I choose to forgive XYZ because of ABC." It is not a case of, all right, well, I'm going to forgive Janet for 20 years down the road. You understand? Because
yeah,
then,
yeah.
first of all, everybody knows that your intentions are pure when you decide that you're going to forgive somebody most of the time. So you'll be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to forgive this person. And then something will happen again. And then you will remember that this person hurt you in this way or the other, right? And so that is why she said that forgiveness requires maintenance. Wake up every morning and say, "Hey, I choose to forgive today." And then wake up tomorrow, "I choose to forgive today." You understand?
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
doing that now, we literally have to rely on God, you know, to carry us through this forgiveness journey, right? And Ole,
Mhm.
let me tell Ole something, right? For this episode, I'm going to ask the tough questions, the hard questions, because I want to know why it's difficult for you all to forgive um a story where you had to
Yeah, yeah.
possibly
Mhm.
forgive all those different things. But I really want to start with Shan because Shan, I've had Shan quiet tonight, right? So, Sean, could you give us a time in your life where you had to forgive somebody? What was that process like for you?
So like you're reading my mind because that's exactly what I was coming to say next. Right? So I'll have to give all of this in kind of a story. So I was a few years back, um, going to school on scholarship wherever. I went to stay by a family friend,
Mhm.
and there was this person there who I happened to get really close to. Right? We were really good friends and so on. Up to the point where he considered me his best friend. Right? We were really close and everything. And some time was passing and so on, and continued in the friendship and so on. And for each of my birthdays, he would forget my birthday. I mean, the first time, the second time, but it's not just you forget my birthday and you're calling me your best friend. You forget my birthday 2, 3, 4 weeks passing, and I mean, what are you saying? So after like 2 or 3 years of this happening, I say, well, no, you can't be my friend. I mean, how is it you forgetting my birthday? And when I'm telling you about it, apparently I am the wrong one for telling you that because I know you're busy. I never forget your birthday once, but all right, cool. And I stopped talking to him. One day I sent a whole long message, and years pass. When I talk about years pass. And I said not a word to this person, not a nothing. I delete them from Facebook, everything. No words. And all in the years now, I'm asking myself, did I forgive this person? I'm asking myself, did I forgive this person? And to me, I was saying, well, yeah, I good with that. But then, like about 2 years ago, it came back to mind again. Did I really forgive this person? Did I consciously tell myself I'm going to forgive this person, or did I just say, yeah, I forgive you, yes? And God had to talk to me, say, Shan, you haven't forgive this person because this thing is still hurting you so deeply inside. You have not forgiven this person. So I added them back on Facebook and I started to talk to them. And for me, that is actually when the forgiveness came. When I added them back and I started back to just gradually say, hi, how are you today? How are you going? How's work? Did you get through with so and so? I know you wanted to do this with your life. Did it happen? And that for me is when the forgiveness actually came. So that when Elder Life was saying, you don't necessarily have to go back and speak to the person, that is true. But for me, that is where the forgiveness actually came in. When I went back to say hello, is because I know in myself I've forgiven you because I can talk to you now. If I couldn't talk to you before, it means I haven't forgiven you yet. But once I could talk to you now, that is when I actually realized that I have forgiven this person. And I actually have a question too, but can I ask it? Yes?
Yeah, do your thing, spread your wings.
So you all heard how I forgive. Well, sorry, forgive. What English is that? Anyway, how I forgive. I would like to know like some ways in which you all actually forgive people. How do you get to the point of knowing that you have forgiven someone? That's my question.
Shan, you asking some questions here, girl. I thought I was asking the tough questions. What you really about? What you really doing?
I feel we all have some tough questions to ask tonight.
All right, ways in which we forgive.
Before you decide
Well,
to answer that question,
thank you,
answer
Aaron.
answer the same one you asked Shana.
Okay, a time I had to forgive. Okay, well, my own, oh gosh, Ole, my forgiveness thing is deep. So, this is all part of life, right? This is all part of life. And this could probably help someone out there. So I'm just going to, speak about it. Daddy don't ignore us. So that don't necessarily mean it's him I'm talking about it. Let me generalize it again. So for me, I had to deal with parental forgiveness, right? And it's not because okay, when you are older, you tend to look back at certain things and you say, "Way boy." I believe I had this conversation with my parents already anyway, so if you're watching, he's mom. So when you get older and you really sit and you think, wow, my parents really were not perfect. You understand? But as a child, you would say, yeah, my daddy perfect, my mommy perfect, or they at least close to it, you aspire to be just like them and all these different things, right? And then as you get older and you form certain or you see certain things and you get to form certain opinions, you realize that they were not perfect. And then if you are mature enough, you'll realize that, okay, they were also your age trying to navigate life with children. And that is probably very difficult. And that is probably very confusing, especially if they had parents who were not the greatest, right? And so, how I forgive is that I just accept the situation for how it is. And I'm not talking how to put this? Not a toxic situation, because I don't think I was ever in a toxic situation with my parents. It didn't matter. But you just accept people for who they are, and you realize that your parents are not perfect people. Your parents are not superhuman, no matter what their title is in your church or whatever the case is. They are not perfect people. You just have to accept them for who they are. You understand? And try to see how they themselves probably have some PTSD that they're dealing with, and they're probably beating up themselves for the decisions, because as much as we recognize certain things as we get older, they for themselves probably realize that they have made mistakes in raising you. You understand? And they probably beat it up themselves. And you don't want, I remember my mother told me a time, she said, Jade, if you don't want to repeat something in your life, you need to forgive your parents. You understand? You need to forgive your parents in order for you to not deal with what um they hurt you with, in order for you to not repeat the offense. You understand? And so yeah, that was my forgiveness thing, my forgiveness journey. And for me, I mean, your parents will be living until they're dead, right? So if you see something, and I like to say no, if you see something that hurts you still as an adult, two things: go and talk to them and say, hey, this hurt me when you did this. And then let it go, give it to God, and just move on, and try to have grace. Like I said in the beginning, try to have grace for them, and just say, you know what, I will just do better. I will just do better as a parent. Even if your parents weren't the worst, I mean, it will must have something that your parents hurt you by doing. You understand? I mean, it's life. You'll get hurt.
And they're
So
not perfect.
exactly, and they're not perfect. So yeah, I just accept people for who they are, and then I keep it pushing because yeah. Aaron, I feel you had an answer for asking me that thing. See how deep you had this
You
conversation
see, I
going.
waiting for the answer. I wait. You see, I pose up. I waiting for his answer.
Well, I'll give all a little story before I tell all my process of how I just work through forgiving somebody, right? And now, long time ago, I had a partner I used to lie with, right? Um, well, I wouldn't say his father used to outrightly abuse him, but at had times the father used to go and just not feed him for the day, right? Now, at had times where I had a little and I used to give, right? Meaning that if I had food, if I had money, as the case may be, and he come and he asks, I never refuse, right? As long as I could have give something, right? No, we used to go down like that. Sometimes I even go and I go in his place and I make a little dumpling and where's called the thing I like to eat corned beef. A little dumpling and corned beef, a little macaroni and corned beef and something. We buy a little Chinese food. If even self I only have enough money to buy one, I buy it and I split it. You understand what I'm saying? And then a particular day now, well, you hear me? Yeah. And then a
Loud and
particular
clear,
day
brother.
now, right? And next one of my partners who I used to lie with at the point in time, he come and he say, well, here is in here and I did your scene. Right? And so I sit down, they're like, well, I say, what going on? I say, he say, boy, it's about your partner, boy. Your partner sit down up on the hill there and he bad talking here. I say, what? I see him now, but you see partner sit down on top of the hill and he bad talking here. He calling your family member's name. He calling your dog name. He calling your cat name. he dissing your toenail, all kind of dotishness, but that just parables are speaking in, right? But me being me now, I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, especially when me and you cool. You understand what I'm saying? So I was like, you sure is he up there talking that talk? And I'm like, yes, I hear it with my own ears. And I never believed the man. I never believe him. Until somebody else come and tell me the same story that he come and said, right? No, I confrontational, so I went and asked him straight up. I said, so here's the scene, so what going on here? I realized like you just reach into the alignment with your crowd of people and them and then you just want to bad talk me, right? So he stand up there now and he denied down to the core. He denied down to the ground. And it's only when he own friends and him come, they out him in front of me, right? They out him in front of me and things get real heated and we wanted to fight all kind of thing, right? But then now, well, this is where the process how I forgive somebody. Basically is this, right? I will lock you off dread, 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 dread. Dread, I will lock you off. Don't watch me when you pass. Don't tell me good morning. Don't tell my mother good morning. Don't tell my father good morning. Don't take from a mango tree when you pass. Just pass straight and we good. That is just me. The process of me forgiving somebody would be like this. I will sit down and I will talk to myself. Yes, I just talk to myself. When I vex, I just talk to myself. I will sit down and talk to myself and I say, Aaron boy, harboring that in you don't really make no sense. Because he do what he do, and he believed that he justified with talking what he talk, and believe that he justified with doing what he do. And at the end of the day, it's only you hitting up yourself. Because it's only you feeling to lash him when you pass and you see him. And then now is when I put that thought to how I view certain things now. Is when I say, boy, it's best I even forget about that. The other day I went up by my mother and I see him. And he watch me, he watch me far while I watch him. He boy, is he seen? I boy, I normal. Is he seen with you? And it's that's when I realized that I genuinely felt nothing towards this person. Right? I didn't feel like cussing. I didn't feel like lashing. I didn't even feel like, saying, boy, stay away from me. I genuinely felt nothing with this person. And I guess my process of forgiveness is that when I sit down and talk to myself like a mad person and I reason with myself, I just get to a place where I just realize that, hey, it's best to just let her go. It didn't make no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I have a similar, not really story, but journey with forgiveness, right? When I was a young child, oh God, listen, people like me, and I'm sure there's millions of people like this. Anyway, when I was a young child, I was known as the grudge holder in the family. So it's going to sound so stupid, but I would hold a grudge over the smallest things. I could still remember to this day me holding a grudge against my mother because every time she lost a stationary item like a pen or something, she would be like, Krista, where my thing? Where my thing? So like she would just accuse me now. And usually it would be daddy or somebody else, but she's like, well, I know you like your stationery, and it used to piss me off. Like it used to piss me off. I would get all in our red kids. I would turn red. I would like listen. I would verbally, like not verbally, literally turn like I'm pissed. Like I would be so angry, right? And I thinking, oh, I letting it go because I cool with my moms again. I cool with mommy, whatever, whatever. But then when she do it again, I get even redder. And I can call, like, I can recount many times in my life where I thought I let go. You see how Aaron said that he said that when he saw the person again, he felt nothing, right? I realized that because I still felt something, and I'm talking like years. Like, let's say she accused me when I was 4, when I am 9, I still feel enraged, right? So years, I used to hold grudges, and I. It's only now that I am maturing, and I started a forgiveness journey. What, in 2019, right? 2019 maybe. That is when I understood what forgiveness was. And to answer Shan's question, I think she asked how it is I forgive. What's our process of forgiving? Okay. Yes, to answer that question, honestly, I still working on it because now granted I'm not upset over petty things like that no more. Right? Like, I'm not upset over petty things like that no more. But it's still like certain things that happened, let's say a month or two ago, still happen. So, like Elder like Fook said, it is a process. I have consciously made an effort to forgive because the amount of resentment or hate that I once had, I don't have anymore. So I know that I am forgiving, but to say I've reached the end of the road of like, oh, I've forgiven this person, I can't say that.
I believe someone had mentioned that if you truly forgive somebody, then this hearing about the situation or remembering the situation will not trigger you. So now it has me thinking that all the things that I believe that I forgive, it has me thinking that I really did not, because I just be real triggered by things still. Although I'm not dwelling on it, not thinking about it. If I remember the situation, it would trigger me. So I don't think I ever really forgive anybody. Like forgive. You know?
Yeah. So that.
Um, Mat- Matthew 6:14 and 15 says, "For if you forgive other people, when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive you, will not forgive your sin." So you see, you have to you have to let it go. And as I said, forgiveness is a process, but you have to forgive, right? Um, you must be able to forgive others in order for God to forgive you. If you don't forgive others, well then God will not forgive you, right?
But
And even in in um in Ephesians it says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving
Oh, on your phone.
each other, just as Christ, God, forgave you." So you must forgive. If you don't forgive, then you will not be forgiven. So
well,
you
that kind
have
of leads me to my next question, right?
right. Well,
Because oh, do you
let me
want to
just
finish what you're saying?
yeah. Let me just give an example of how I forgive people who um, did me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember once I was um, I was in a situation where um, I was hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I really thought I had forgiven the person. Eh? Honestly, I really thought I had forgiven the person. And I think I gave my daughters this example already. Um, it wasn't until I went into church one day and the worship music playing, everybody in church, hands up in the air and they praising God. And I just stood up in my seat and tears began flowing from my eyes. I fell to the ground and started crying. And everybody thought, well, oh Lord, Brother Lightfoot in the spirit, in there, the worship, not knowing that I ain't not even taking on the worship. I just felt as though a log, a big boulders was taken off my shoulder. That is when I realized, okay, yeah, you forgive that person, and how I knew I forgave them is when, I started speaking to them again. And I held no malice. It was like, wherever, we talk. And I mean, I knew I said you don't necessarily have to talk to the person or get back into a relationship, whatever that was. But I chose to
reconcile.
To reconcile and speak to the person. And it was normal. I felt normal. But as I said, at that particular time, that Sunday morning, I felt as though a big stone was off my shoulder because I really thought I had forgiven the person before that.
Yeah.
But after that, it's like, wow, I started feeling so light and, tears dried up and I'm like, wait, that's how people, that is forgiveness for truth, man. Wow. It felt so good, so good because all this time
light as a feather.
Yeah, all this time I tell myself, hey, I forgive that person, hey, I forgive that person. But it's only, as I said, it's only when the tears started flowing and I just felt like something was released. There was a release. And I think that release came through the tears. That release just, everything just flowed. And I said, yeah, okay, all right. And after that, I started saying, well, okay, if I can do it, if I can forgive that person, then it will be easy enough now to forgive others.
Yeah.
Because I never experienced anything where I had to forgive anybody. Because usually somebody hurt me, I forget you and I go on somewhere else, especially in a relationship. I always had a backup. I always used to have a backup plan. One young lady decided that she didn't want to hang around. I said, wherever, I go by my backup plan. I always had a backup. I always have a backup plan. We always used to have a backup plan. So but that particular time, there wasn't really a backup plan. So it brought me to the point where I had to release everything. And that's when I realized, hey, but wow, this is how forgiveness has been. Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, well, you see, now you're talking, and I have like two questions, and I hope I remember both of them. Because before you were speaking, Aisha was saying, well, I think all of us, to some extent, were expressing how it wasn't really easy to forgive. So I guess my question is, why is it so hard for us to forgive?
But just now, Krista, just now, before you go to that, keep your questions. But I just want to piggyback off of what Aisha was saying, right? She said that she doesn't forgive like that. She does not think that she ever forgave anybody because once you bring it up, she will remember. And obviously, knowing Aisha personally, trust me, you have a photographer out there. If she see him now, is licks. Right? So it is all well and good to just be like, yeah, man, forgive, and forgiveness is for you, and when you're released, it feels so good, and all these different things. But the reality of the situation is that people are still struggling. People are still struggling to forgive because, okay, so we spoke about parental hurt, we spoke about friendship and relationship hurt, etc. Right? But what can that person do? Somebody who has gotten, let's say, sexually assaulted, or somebody murdered their family, or something like that. What can that person truly do? Is it even enough for us to say, give it to God? Like, what the realness, the reality of it? We will love to say, oh yeah, give that to God, and cast your burdens onto Jesus, and he will give you rest, etc. But what can we really say to that person? Because if somebody murders somebody who I love, or sexually assaults somebody who I love, and this is something that I am going through right now, where somebody who I love was sexually assaulted, and I'm being 100% with you. I want to strangle the person because I know exactly who it is. You understand? And I how do we get past that?
Well, the thing is, as I said before, forgiving somebody takes a lot of mental and willpower. Somebody who have been sexually assaulted, it will take they definitely cannot forgive very easily, right? They will go through some, because it's a trauma, right? So they will go through the nightmare and the fear factor. Once somebody come close to them, they're jumpy. They will go through all these different emotions before they even get close to forgiving that person, right? For that person to even start thinking about forgiving, they have to first understand that it was not their fault. Because most times when somebody is sexually assaulted, they victimize their own selves. They keep saying, it's my fault. It's my fault he do this, or it's my fault she do that. But they have to come to the understanding where it is never their fault. That person is sick mentally, right? But that's a story for another day. That's a topic for another day. But they have to understand that that person is sick, and understand that, listen, it is not a case of I was wearing something um, overly sexual. Because let's be real, we have some people some men who will go and watch a granny and decide they want to rape you. Right? And there's nothing sexy about a granny 90 years old. Right?
I find you real presumptuous, but okay.
But that person is sick, mentally sick. So they have to come to the point where they realize two things. One, it is not my fault that this person did this to me. Two, that person is mentally sick, right? And then after going through over understanding those two statements, then they now have to deal with their own emotion and forgive themselves. Because as I said before, they victimize their own self. So they now have to come and forgive their own self. So it's a process in for somebody like that who have been sexually assaulted, right? In case of somebody being murdered, it's on, well, the person who was murdered can't forgive themselves because they're dead. You know, the family of that person have to understand that, listen, it was not my son, my daughter, my nephew, my uncle, my granny fault that this person just walk up to them and shoot them or stab them or hit them a piece of wood and they died. You know, so they now have to come to understand that this person is also sick, mentally sick, and from there try to get try to start forgiving that person. But as I said before, it's a process. But at the end of the day, you still have to reach the point where you forgive. It may not come today, tomorrow. It may take you 10 years down the road, 11 years, 20 years down the road. But if you hold on to that, it will eat you, eat away your sanity. And also it will cause you to go to be get mentally ill because you're taking it on. You know, so it is and I was looking at four some stages of forgiveness, and one of the stages says reflect on the situation. So you know, you reflect on the situation, you learn from that experience, and you decide where you're going from there. You know, so you really have to. Go ahead.
Yes, I just like how you answered those questions because I needed to hear those things as well, you know. And even one of the commenters said that forgiveness is something that we have to physically put on. You understand? So this topic is making me learn so much, so much. One thing that I want to ask as well, though, is how do we forgive someone who is not sorry? Oh, well, it could be the same. It could be the same thing. We have to accept the fact that they are not sorry and put on, you know, that forgiveness, I guess.
And that's what I was saying before. Um, Forgiveness is really for you. It's not for that person, you know. Forgiveness is for you because if that person have done you some wrong, they in their mind they're right. They cuss you out, and they tell themselves, "Well, I was in the right," you know, and they already forget you. They living their life normal, and you there holding a grudge. This person, Aaron, cussed me out here. You see me? I'm not talking to Aaron again in life. Aaron, da, 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 da. And Aaron not even taking you on. Aaron living his life. But you there eating up yourself and holding on to it and stressing yourself out over something that happened some time ago and not forgiving Aaron for what he did. It must be a point where you consciously say, I will forgive him, even though he does not want to forgive me or he does not accept the fact that he was wrong. I forgive him.
You're doing short, sir, Mr. Edward.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Let me just ask a question, right? All I think a person love style have to do with how they just forgive too.
Yes, yes, yes. For sure. Because let me see if I can get the words. Yes, I believe so. Because if you are a very clingy person, and in this case of love style, I'm not talking about love languages, right? Just how you relate to people when you love them. So if you're a very clingy person, then most likely you will cling on to the hurt, pain, and anger that the person caused you. I know Sean wanted to say something though before we continue.
Yeah, but to answer your own question, yes, I think so. I mean, I never really thought about it, but now that you ask it and I think about it, then I have to say yes. It kind of does. But I cannot explain to you all how I came to the conclusion. I just say yes. So don't even don't ask me to explain it. But yes. But what I was wanted to say is something about what Elder Edward was saying there. Do you all know that the scientific community has actually classed unforgiveness as a disease?
What?
They literally said unforgiveness is a disease, as in not
Like
forgiving
a
somebody
mental
will
health
make
thing.
you physically sick. No, not just mentally. Physically, you get
Oh, see.
physically sick from not forgiving people. As in, it is bad for your heart, and you know your heart controls almost everything in your body, so it is bad for your heart, it is bad for your mind, and it they actually did a study on cancer patients, and most of them who had cancer who did not forgive somebody in their lives. So imagine that this forgiveness is not just for your spiritual health. This is why it is so much in the Bible, everywhere talking about forgiveness, forgive, 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 because you will get physically sick. They did a study with some men and women, and they put negative images in front of them and made them think about somebody who hurt them so bad and all of these things. And the people, the blood pressure raised, they started to sweat, they get tense, all of these things, and they started to feel very, very ill. And then when they say, okay, now think about a person in your life who you have forgiven, all of a sudden, people, their blood pressure drop, the mood drop, the everything changed. So forgiveness is a serious, serious thing. I didn't even know that until I read it, and I was like, so this is it. It spreads the is like a bitterness inside of you that just poisoning your insides when you do not forgive people. And yes, we know, and we like we discussing here, not easy to forgive somebody. It really is. You really have to put it on to forgive somebody, especially in the cases like what you're all talking about there, the murder and the rape and the all them thing. But think about yourself and what it is doing to you to not forgive someone else for a wrong. Yeah.
And that is what I was saying. Forgiveness is really for you, the person. It is not for the other person, and remember I said if you don't forgive, you are there stressing yourself out, beating up yourself, getting all stressed out, and stress is one of the one of the main killers of the human being. And you are just stressing yourself out, and the person not even taking you on.
Oh, they
So
answered my
yes,
question
Sean,
before I even asked them.
you are correct. You are correct when you said it is a disease, because it can kill you.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? The commenter said it's something you actually have to physically put on, right? But See, when we talk about, okay, why is it so hard to forgive? The question I ask is, okay, what makes you want to forgive? Like, what is the trigger that will make you want to put on, the garment of forgiveness or whatever the commenter said? But like, what triggers you to want to forgive? Because I feel like that has a part to play in why it is so hard to forgive. What gets you to the point where you want to forgive and you start that journey of forgiveness?
Two things. One, you forgive for your own sanity, all right? And two, because you know it is the right thing to do. Because in Jeremiah 31, verse 34 says, "For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more." So if Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, could forgive, why shouldn't we forgive? Why we keep holding grudges against and why we keep holding grudges against each other? And then we go back now and we say, Lord, forgive me. How could he forgive you if you don't forgive others?
I mean, true.
You know, it's, and I'm not speaking about just the Christian person. I'm talking about the unchristian, for want of a better word. I don't like to say this. I don't like to call people sinners because we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. The unchristian person, the person who don't believe in Christ, it is also good for them to forgive, because if you look at somebody if you look at an unbeliever who decided not forgiving somebody for doing them something, they look old and tired, haggard, stressed, because they decided not going to forgive this person for doing so and so. And every time they see the person, they get angry and they puff. And
Oh,
what? And
can I just interrupt you for a quick thing? So what you're
yeah,
saying is that I looking older than I actually should, because if I'd forgiven my mother and stuff all those years ago, I could have been looking like 12.
That's
exactly.
precisely it.
We could have been taking
Wow.
you at 12 years old. You understand? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
really should you really should forgive. And if you go through the Bible, there are a number of scriptures that we keep repeating itself, and forgiveness is so important.
So you want to know what drives me to forgive, right? Um, my answer gonna be real corny, but I just asked, what would Jesus do? Honest to God, I have to ask that question. You know why?
Definitely.
Because I am a very pensive person. I will think. And with that, I think of all the things that I should have done, that I should have never been forgiven for, that I was forgiven for by people and by Jesus. Because I'm sure every single lady is watching me like, what are you doing? And yet still, it is forgive me. So I just actually have to think, Jesus forgave you, you need to forgive. And that is all it is. That is why. Yeah, June.
Girl, I really need to sit and have some sort of chat with you because me asking myself that I am not asking what will Jesus do. I am being 100% real with you. I'm not asking myself that. Let me tell you, okay, what drives me to, it's something very selfish. What drives me to forgive? The fact, two things. The fact that I do not want to repeat offenses, one, and no, three actually. Two, I don't want people stressing me out because, truth be told, I have no time for that. In my mind, it's like this, right? If you hurt me, I find you shouldn't rent any space in my mind rent free, right? That's just me. Don't rent space in my mind rent free. Um, and thirdly, the whole cancer thing. I must live a long and prosperous life as my soul prospers. And I just no, 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 no. So that is what helps me to forgive. I don't ask nothing about Jesus. Not a thing. Jesus don't come in my head at all. I just being honest with you.
Well, to answer my own little question, I know the commenter said that nothing will trigger it, right? Or let me just, Teresa, she said, we want to hold on to offense because it makes us feel in control of a bad situation. For me personally, I found that I have to want to. Like, in all the times where I've started the forgiveness journey, I literally thought to myself, okay, my goal as a Christian is to be Christ-like, right? I want to be more like him. So I don't really ask myself what would Jesus do technically, but just to say, oh, you know what, I want to be Christ-like. And
You're
then,
so
you
holy.
know, and then that scripture that says, hey, if we don't forgive, our Father won't forgive. If we don't forgive trespasses, our Father won't forgive our trespasses, right? I was also doing a Bible plan for forgiveness in YouVersion. They should hit me up. And in like one of the questions that popped into my head was, is the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, anger, whatever, frustration, whatever, is that stronger than my love for God? Right? And so whenever somebody hurts me, whether they say they're sorry or not, whether I have closure or not, at least to start the forgiveness process, I ask myself that question. Okay, how much do I really love God? How much do I want to be saved? Well, it is kind of selfish. How much do I want to be saved? And that is what triggers me or wants me or gets me to start the forgiving process. Anybody else?
Yeah, and just to go off what you said, forgiveness kinda is a selfish act, because we know that we're not forgiving them for them. We forgiving them for us. You understand? So we forgiving them so that God could forgive us. We forgiving them so that we wouldn't be stressed out. Forgiveness is literally all about us. It has nothing to do with anything else. So one more thing though. I want to ask a question, but I want to know if somebody else had to wants to respond to what Crystal was saying before I decide to ask this question.
I think I see Aaron hand up. Aaron, your hand also. Right. So the only thing I want to say is not forgiving somebody could also cause you to burn a bridge that you probably shouldn't burn. Because some things be real petty, and then you're like, I gotta look up this person because of this. And they are a good friend, it's just they fall short in this one little area. And you just burn this whole bridge because of this. And then few years down the line, you're like, wish I had that friend around, you know?
Yeah. So my question is, so how does unforgiveness affect families and family dynamics? How does unforgiveness affect those things?
Sorry, ask that question again.
How does unforgiveness affect families? That's my question. Like you have the answer, Krista. Look, everybody stopped.
I think
Listen, you're asking
Why
some
not
tough
stop?
questions. People have to think for a second, dog. That one have
I
me
know
scratching my
something.
back and my head.
Yeah, as I was saying, I know something. It's just that um, I want to answer this question without getting a little too personal. That is the thing with me. I want to answer this question without getting a little too personal because me personally, all right, let me be real honest with you. I can't answer this question. I really and honestly can't answer this question because if I think I need to answer this question, then the other people who the question concerned to need to be here to defend themselves. So that is just me. I'm not going to answer this question.
Um, I think what unforgiveness when unforgiveness within a family circle, um, the effects of that is could be devastating. In to the point where you have persons hating each other within the family structure. You have mother hating son if it happen if it's between mother and son or mother and daughter, or even between the parents. You have you'll have that because you see, remember you're not you decide I'm not going to forgive that person for doing so and so, and you're living in the same house with them, you're still married to them, or you are still they are still living in the house with you as your children, and you it is you're seeing the person every day. You're not you decide you're not going to forgive them, and the more you see them and the more you decide you're not going to forgive them, you end up hating that person. And I know and you know God said we shouldn't hate, we should love our enemies. But you don't, you wouldn't, you, and that's the thing, you will start thinking that that's your enemy. So you, I am not going to forgive X because that's it. He hurt me so bad, I'm not going to forget, I'm not going to forgive them. It will cause a real division in the entire family. It will cause rift, it will cause strife, it will cause, it will put children against um, parents because it might be between, let's say, let me give an example. It might be between mother and father. Father did something or mother did something, and then there are the kids who, let's say, have 4 kids, two really for daddy, two for mommy. But then with that hatred and with that strife and with that rip in the family, you have no way sisters and brothers not speaking to each other because I for mommy, I take mommy's side or I take daddy's side. You understand? And I'm not gonna talk to you because you siding with mommy. I'm not gonna talk to you because you siding with daddy. And you know it can cause the dismemberment of a family unit. And then not only that, but the children will go out there with that same attitude of non-forgiveness, unforgiveness, I should say, and it will just be something that a generational thing where the hate continues down the line because grandchildren now hate mommy or hate daddy, depending on which side they're on. You know, they hate granddaddy or grandmommy. You understand? So it continues. The cycle continues. So in that case, that is in a sense like that, in a case like that, that is how um, unforgiveness could affect a family unit.
I agree with Mr. Edward. That's all I will say.
So In a family, I'm talking about mother, father, children, family, that's where you learn love. Because you now come into the world, you don't know anything. So you are looking at these people now to know what love is. How do I express love? How do I receive love? Now, if your parents are harboring bitterness from their parents, then you would not experience love from your parents. You experience bitterness or something that is a warped sense of what they think love should be because they don't really know. And in that case, those children will grow up and they're going outside and thing and they're seeing certain things and they're like, I don't understand this. And then they might come to their parents and blow up or whatever. And those parents now going to end up alone because as your children get older, there are not certain things they're not going to be looking to you for no more. And if you are continuously bitter, you're going in an old folks' home and I'm not visiting you, right? Because I cannot relate to you. You always have a story about what this one they do when you would get married and what that one they do when we get married and what that one they do when we used to work together. So you are playing a victim and I can't talk to you because you like victim role. That's what you like to do. So then now, if the children don't go out and learn from someone exactly how to show love and forgiveness and so on, then they will harbor something within themselves, which now translate to not having proper relationships at all with anybody because you don't know what a proper relationship is. You have never seen it. And if this person you come to is anything like your parents, you vex. You, that's it, I locking you off. I can't deal with this. Or you're going to it thinking I could change them from being like this. I couldn't change my parents. Maybe I could change you. Maybe what in me could change who you are. And we all know that that does never work. But that is what unforgiveness and harboring things in a family does mentally to a person. You don't think straight. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what to find in anything at all. So that is why I think it mashes up. It is mash up your family. They don't have a unit. It's not a family unit. It's just people living in a place.
So, okay, is it okay to cut ties with your family members?
Yes.
Yes, I say so too.
I mean,
Causing the
I
mental
wasn't done
problems.
with the
I lock any off.
I wasn't done with the question, but it
Okay,
really
go
hot.
ahead.
Yes, one time.
That question done already. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, like the question done for real, you know. Is it
Yeah,
okay?
I could understand why you would lock them off, but have you forgiven them? That is the main question.
Well, in the locking off, because sometimes people need to step back in order to forgive, you know, because I can't watch. If you hurt me, I can't really watch in your face and be there in the same room with you or in the same house with you or, you know, when it's a family day, everybody taking photos and thing. I not about that life. So I will need to step back and lock you off and then evaluate, you know, the circumstances. But at the same time, you know, it will have people who will say, well, family and water and blood thicker than water, etc., etc. But yeah. So I just wanted to know if you all think, okay, even if it is your parents, would you lock your parents off too according to what they did?
Yes.
Yes.
If you have to do that,
If
you
it's
have to, yes.
necessary, I wouldn't say lock them off. I would say distance myself. Like, you know, we're not as close as we used to be. I wouldn't completely lock you off because if you're dead and gone, I'm sorry, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, but to say a complete lock off, no, just a distance. Jenny distracted me.
Um,
Sorry.
That didn't make me want to laugh.
I'm so sorry, but if every time I had to talk to my mother or father and it's some kind of knife fight right through, I sorry, but no, I need peace. I need peace in my life. And if I had to check you or talk to you and every time is rah, 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 I not on that. I really and honestly not on that. I not for the drama. I sorry, but I go love you from a distance.
But that's what I'm talking about. I just see the thing. I wouldn't be told like it's not every month or every so I calling you and talking to you and whatnot. I just
As we
saying
say, run
to
loving them.
completely lock off. No, I wouldn't do it.
I'm
Krista, I
calling to
am
find
not
out if I'm still in
calling
here.
you.
What I
I
say?
am not texting you. I am not thinking
You
about
see,
you.
I doing that.
I'm
I
not
just
writing you. Nothing.
It
You
depends on where
will
your
be there by
parents
yourself. I will love you from a distance. I go,
No,
Nah,
well,
it depends on where your parents do. Some parents just really overdo it though.
I agree.
exactly.
Yeah, some parents just really
And
overdo
okay, even
it.
even if it's not your parents, like your family members,
Yeah,
I
I go
will.
lock you.
Okay, this is the thing. I listen. Whether you're parent, cousin, auntie, uncle, I will lock you off. But this is the thing. People will assume, okay, if I lock you off, it means that I do not forgive you, right? So, do you have, well, we addressed this earlier. You don't have to remain in contact with somebody just because you forgive them. You understand? And then this other thing is too, just because you forgive them, does that mean that we have to forget? A lot of people will say yes. I don't believe that. I want to remember the fact that you hurt me. I don't want to hold on to it and feel pain and anger, right? But then think about it this way. If this whole forgive and forget thing was true, how come we have stories to tell about it now? How come we have examples to give now so that we could share with people our forgiveness journeys and all these different things, right? It's only God that has thrown your sins into the sea of forgetfulness, and my name is Jade, not Jehovah. You understand? So I don't believe that in order for you to forgive, you need to forget. But I want to know what you all are saying.
I
let me
think
be
you
honest.
can.
Well, Krista,
I think you can forgive and forget, but I think it depends on the sin. Like if it's something petty or something, most likely you're not going to your brain not going to store that. Well, it depends on the sin and how much you hold it inside of you. So, for instance, my sin was something about a pen, right? Stationery. Mommy accusing me, and I held on to that for years, right? So the only reason I remembered is because I held on to it for so much, is because I didn't forgive right away or whatnot. So I think if it's something tiny that you're like, you know what, I forgive you. Like, let's say somebody do a white lie and lying is not that big to you, or it, I think it depends. If it's something big, like as Elder Lightfoot brought up, rape and oh God, sorry, I know we're on YouTube. Rape, um, abuse, whatever. I think those will leave a deeper a deeper scar. But I do think you can forgive and forget, just depending.
The thing is, um, you use your you use the experience of your hurt as a lesson, right? As and that's why you'll say, I forgive you, but I can't forget. As forgetting means you may repeat the same thing over, right? Or you would allow it to happen to you a second, on a third, and a fourth time. And even though in Matthew, God said that you should forgive your brother 7 times, 70 times 7, it, yeah, but you forgive, but you don't forget because you don't want to be, you don't want somebody to do this, or different people to do the same thing over and over and over, right? So you use that, whatever hurt that was, that you experienced, as a lesson, as a springboard to move forward.
And while I would like to be like Elder Lifehook, if you grape any of my family members, if you murder any of my family members, there is no forgiveness.
Listen,
I am being
So you
honest.
see that as an unforgivable.
I see that as very unforgivable. If you grape any of my family members, if you murder any of my family members, I am not going to forgive you. That's just being honest, as honest could be. I'm not going to say I'm going to forgive you, and then God sitting up in heaven saying, this big head boy lying. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie. As I said in the beginning, this is one of the hardest things on my journey right now, forgiveness. And I really and honestly think I I wouldn't no. I don't think that that's in me to forgive something like that.
If I forgive and then forget, then like Jade said, I don't have a testimony to give. You understand? How would I be able to tell somebody, well, I went through X, Y, and Z, and this is what I do? Then that means I can't forget it. I forgive, but the forgetting part, I'm not Jesus. So yeah, it can happen.
and like I was saying, you're using the hurt as your experience, and to show someone or to help another person who may be going through the same thing as you, or something similar to what you went through. So you're using your experience in terms of the hurt and the anger and the pain to help some other person through their journey, through their journey of forgiveness. But if you don't forgive, then you can't help anybody. And it's not about forgetting either. As Jade said, um, God is the only person who does take your sins, yes, and forget and throw it in the sea of forgetfulness, where He does not remember anything that you did, But still, we are human beings, and He expects that we wouldn't forget, because He gave us a brain, and our brain stores things, good and bad.
I think that whole forgive and forget thing is just something religious people is tell you to do, so that they could feel some sort of self righteousness. But I think this generation knows better than that.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that because now that you explain it and everything, it gave me a different perspective. To be honest, there are some things that I thought I did forget, but you know how it's kind of like my body didn't forget because the anger that I had once it was done a second time was not matching as if it was because if it's a first time you're like, oh God, that hurts and thing, but a second time or a third time when somebody has hurt you over and over again, right? I'm talking about okay, because I've seen a bit of confusion on Jade's face.
No, I only confused because I don't think it's the forgetting part that makes you feel that way. I think it's the you told yourself that you forgave, but you really didn't. You just let it glide
Oh,
off your back.
okay. Okay, but
Because
then I
if
did forget because it only okay. I did forget until it happened again. That's what I mean.
okay, so your forgetting is more like, I don't really care. I'll just move
Yeah, and
on,
then
that
it
kind
come
of
back
way.
again, and then it come back and like, wait a minute, didn't you do this to me? Wait, didn't you do this to actually, so yeah, I actually, not you turn my tables. I agree that you can't really forget. That's what I was trying to say. You guys, yes, I don't believe that you can truly forget.
I don't think you could truly forget. If it's like something that take you a while to forgive, chances are you're not going to forget it. If it's a petty thing, then you can forget it. But if it take you a while to forgive, like you actually have to put in effort to forgive it, then you're definitely not going to forget something like that.
Yeah, with something as a deep hurt or pain, you'll take, as I said, you'll take some time to forget it. Yeah, but a small petty matter, that slide off your back like dashing bush, like water and dashing bush.
But not unless it's been done multiple times.
Yeah,
Is it me that making that noise? Okay. All right, guys. So, is that all? Does anybody have anything else to add before we wind down?
Just now, hold on. Um,
Mhm.
this forgiveness topic is a very deep one, but let's read what this commenter has to say here. This is an explanation, but when the Bible does it say forgive and forget, and if those words are not there, where is it implied? Exactly, nowhere in the Bible says forgive and forget. But I
Mhm.
have heard a lot of people say in order for you to truly forgive, it means that you have to forget as well. Because if you remember, it means that you're still holding on to it, etc., etc. That is not the case. I
I
am
want you to tell me
remembering
where
it.
somebody is going to remember them being abused.
You mean forget?
Oh, sorry,
Where somebody's
forget
going to
them being
forget.
abused.
Exactly. And if it's like this, right? If I forget, then I will not have a testimony, I will not have a lesson, I can't give any experience, and I will just be talking, and then nobody could relate to anything that I'm saying, you know? So, yeah, and well, as I was saying, um, this forgiveness topic is very loaded, it is heavy. We will think about doing a part two, but we are not too sure yet. Truth is, we are not too sure yet. But yes, I just want to thank our viewing audience for giving us your time and for participating in commenting. You can find us on Facebook. The banner is going across the screen as we speak. Find us on Facebook at here this now. Go to say this, yes, and watch me. Hear this now on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram at Hear This Now. We are on TikTok at Hear This Now. Everywhere you can find us, our name is Hear This Now. Right? As I said last week, big up your whole self for sitting down and watching our hour and 30 minutes of video. And we love you all. God bless you all. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, tell your
View our
neighbor,
other
your granny,
videos.
view our other videos because it's real. I can't say
Deep
Bacchanal
topics.
is not of God. It's real deep topics that you all will truly be interested in. And we just want to thank you once again. See you guys later.